So the first argument we have in in-depth studies and debates is, should the Gilded Age simply be seen as a period of reaction and lack of progress for civil rights? In the case of yes, Kervin Verney calls this the so-called redemption period. He says that literacy tests were put in place before voting, and SCOTUS declared these constitutional. There was still widespread discrimination in the South. Black voters were still dependent on whites for winning any uh, seats that could result in civil rights legislation. Jim Crow laws saw the rise of lynching at the time, and Plessy v. Ferguson saw constitutional racism expand. In terms of the no argument, Larry Schweikart and Michael Allen wrote in their book A Patriot's History of the United States. They argued that their buying power gave them the important leverage against white business. In Georgia, African Americans built 1,544 schools and educated more than 11,000 students. They created all black universities, such as Tuskegee, Fisk, and Lincoln, and it was possible for them to start their own businesses. Black people had constitutional guarantees, even if they weren't enforced. The support given to Booker T. Washington by Alabama for his educational institutes helped lay the foundation for the civil rights movement in regard to federal law. The economic success of black people in the North showed the role they played, and the role they played in Manifest Destiny and westward expansion showed that they were definitely getting progress. Nat Love was Deadwood Dick, like a famous black cowboy who was wrote about and idolized by many. There were all black towns in the West because of Manifest Destiny, and Bass Reeves was a prominent black lawman, showing that black people could be integrated into the police for what was a very white racist police force. The second debate is, how much did African Americans benefit from the New Deal? There's benefit and suffer. They benefited from slum clearance, housing projects, efforts to alleviate the problems of rural tenancy. Miss Roosevelt resigned her new membership from the Daughters of the American Revolution after its refusal of Mariam Anderson to sing it in its halls in Washington. And then the Secretary of the Interior, Ikes, invited Anderson to sing on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial on Easter Sunday. The Democrat Party became, on the whole, much less racist. There were minimum wage regulations which helped the most poor black people. There was restricting on the powers of trusts, and there was federal support for African American culture, which can be seen in the Harlem Renaissance of art in the 1920s. The National Industrial Recovery Act of 1933 resulted in 700 industrial organizations being made, which helped black employment. The Wagner Act legalized union monopolies and helped boost their statue. In terms of African Americans suffering from the New Deal, Jim Powell wrote about this in FDR's Folly, How Roosevelt and his New Deal Prolonged the Great Depression. He argues that minimum wage regulations made it illegal for companies to pay less, but I don't see what's wrong with that, can't lie. Arguably, regulations restricted expanding economy, reducing the amount of jobs that were made available for black people. Social Security exercised taxes on payrolls, which discouraged some employers from hiring new people, such as freed slaves. The Agricultural Adjustment Act forced down jobs in this field due to reduced production rates, which partially led to the exclusion of black employment from work. A number of black people on relief remained high in the 1930s. Reforms of the New Deal did not include a Civil Rights Act. In the 1930s, Roosevelt was conscious of Southern Democrats for any radical legislation, which is partially why he didn't do any Civil Rights Acts or any anti-lynching laws. The Social Security Act did not apply to sharecroppers in the South, and little was done to increase voting rights / end segregation. So how much did African Americans benefit from the New Deal is up for debate, but I'd say they did benefit. How far did Black Power promote the cause of African American civil rights? On the "it went far" argument, the Nation of Islam became well recognized in black groups and helped many black communities unify black communities to fight for civil rights. The vilification of white people brought attention to the ubiquity of white supremacy. It also made SCLC and NAACP seem much more attractive. Sort of the white power structure seemed much, because of the fear of Muslims, the white power structure was much more likely, due to black power, to bend to the will of groups like the Nation of Islam. And these groups appealed to those in the North who had been overlooked by MLK's focus on issues in the South. And black power acted as a prod to the white supremacy establishment. It was not only vital for African American communities, but also achieving civil rights aims. But on the other hand, people argued they didn't go far enough, promoting the cause of African American civil rights, because the communist sympathies within these organizations led to the FBI infiltrating and cracking down on Black Panther Party leadership. The Black Panther Party never numbered more than 5,000 members. African American Professor Claiborne Carson says that they were reducing the ability of African Americans to alter the course of US politics. Those who criticized King's efforts only hindered civil rights legislations and scared the white middle class. The dead-end violence led to no formative change, and clashes with the police only strengthened the opponents to civil rights. And that's the end of that.